guys, it's me. Hi. Today I'm gonna make a video about what you should know before you get dreadlocks, or just kind of stuff that, it's kind of useful, and things that I would have liked to have known. So first, check it out. Made a list, so hopefully I won't ramble as much. We'll see though, because I'm a pretty epic rambler. But first off, I would like to say hello to my awesome mother-in-law. Hi, Mama. Yeah, because she watches my YouTube channel, and I want to say hi. I know that some of you out there are not too fond of your mom-in-laws, and I'm sorry. It makes me sad for you, but I have an amazing mom-in-law, so love you, Mama. And yeah. And actually, before I get into the video about what you should know, I want to take a vote on my hair. Not my bangs. I have, obviously, as you can tell, I have these incredibly long side bang things, which I like, side sweepy bangs, which I usually wear to the side. But I had them short in the beginning. I had them, like long on the sides, like that, and then, kind of something like that. So I need a vote. Either keep them, just trim them up and keep them side banged, whatever, or do the short bangs in the front. So I'll take a vote. Let me know what you guys think. And I don't want to dread it, so I want bangs in some way or another. And when they're in the front, I can still, like if they're the short, I can still put them to the side if I want. So I kind of like those. I'm kind of leaning towards that, but I want some input. So let me know what you guys think. Okay, things to know before you get dreads. Number 1, patience. You really need patience. It's a long-term commitment. This isn't like some hairdo that all of a sudden you're just gonna, ta-da, I have amazing dreadlocks. Generally speaking. Before I go on any further, this video is just based on my experience and my dreads and kind of what I've gone through, so if you've had a different experience, awesome. But yeah, this is for, white girl hair. Straight to wavy, pretty, doesn't dread real well. So, yeah. So, but the thing that I really wanted to tell you is patience. Like, it's not an overnight thing. It's something that is a commitment. And pretty much for the first 6 months, you're going to be like, yeah, my hair's weird, and I didn't really know what it's doing. So, so that's definitely something to keep in mind, is that you're really going to need to be committed to it, because it's kind of a long-term deal and whatnot. And if you're going to do it yourself, I really recommend having a friend, or many friends, come and do it. There's a video by Naughty Boy, Naughty with a K, no, gross, just kidding. Yeah, they have a video out, and it's really helpful on the Naughty Boy site, and I know that I've heard other people refer to it and stuff, and just have your friends watch it, and then they'll know how to shred hair. It's really simple. The backcombing method, which is what I used. So get a friend or two, because your arms will get really tired real quick. And also, before you start, depending on who you are, I guess, if you don't want them to look real crazy, you should wait till your hair is longer, because your hair does get shorter. You lose length, because you're routing it up and you're like sucking it up into there, so you do lose some length. And if you're worried that it's gonna look kind of crazy, because it will, the shorter it is, it just kind of sticks out all over the place, and it looks kind of nuts sometimes. So if you don't want it to look super crazy, you're going to want to wait until your hair is a little longer, because you will lose length. So note, because it's going to look crazy on its own right, and the longer it is, the better to lay down. Like when I did mine, my hair was, I don't know, probably about there or so, and then when I dreaded it, it was like there. Like, they looked pretty short and crazy, and they would just stick out all over the place. So, and especially if you were going to do blunted tips, had I done blunted tips, they would have been super short. But I didn't do blunted tips. I like them with the wispy ends. So, things to note. Also, do your own research. I really suggest looking at different people's YouTubes and just kind of getting their different experience, because, you know, no one's really an expert. I know I'm not. I know that I just know what I've experienced, and so I really encourage you to do your own research. I know I did a ton before I got mine. But yeah, there's a really lot of great videos out there, and if you have questions, people, you know, are pretty awesome who have dreads, so if they made a dreadlock video, I'm sure they wouldn't mind if you asked them questions. So ask away. Ask all your questions. Whatnot. So yeah, don't just take one person's word for it. Do your own research. There's lots of really great sites out there and lots of really good communities of people with dreads, and they're usually super helpful. So, you know, and just kind of find, you know, especially try and find people with the same type of hair that you have, because that will change, I mean, their experience depending on what kind of hair they have. I mean, if they've got the awesome, you know, black people hair that just dreads like nothing, then, and you're, you know, have white girl hair, or white boy, depending, you know, the experience is going to be different. So, and a lot of the products, I believe, are kind of different too, depending on whatnot. So I'm not an expert, so I have no idea, but just to think about. Yeah, and before you get dreadlocks, if you're somebody that really doesn't like it when people judge you right away and just kind of put you in a category, just stereotype you and just, you know, assume they know something about you because you have dreads, maybe dreads isn't the way to go for you. I mean, I guess if you live in like an area where there's a lot of diversity, I guess it wouldn't really matter. But if you live in, you know, a place where there's not a whole lot of diversity or whatnot, I mean, I live in yuppie town, suburbia. So sometimes I get weird looks, and you know, I've experienced that a little bit. Well, a lot, actually. And I'm okay with it, though. I really don't care. I'm like, whatever. That's just cool. So, but if you're someone that really feels weird about that, you may want to reconsider getting dreads, depending on what kind of area you live in. And the other thing, too, is if you're kind of awkward and weirded out by people asking you a bunch of random questions about your hair, then maybe dreads isn't for you either. And again, this probably depends on your area, but my experience in Yuppieville, I love my peeps, but you know, there's not a whole lot of diversity here. So I get a lot of questions, and I love it, because I get to tell people about dreads and, you know, break some of their crazy misconceptions that, you know, everyone, you know, with dreads has fleas in their, you know, so, I mean, whatnot. So I love it. I get to talk to people. So, but if you're not okay with it, because they will come up to you and ask you lots of random questions, and they're just curious. But if that kind of, the thought of that makes you anxious in any way, you may want to reconsider. But again, depending on your area, I don't know. Look at me. I have lists. It's keeping me from rambling. This is good. Yeah. Hold on. Okay. You really don't need to spend a whole lot of money. I mean, you can, but you don't have to. It depends on, again, you know, what kind of dreads you want, what kind of look you're going for. I got a flea comb from the pet store for like $5. They have dread combs, you can buy them, whatnot. I just bought one from the pet store for like $5 and it worked perfect. I did the back combing method, so depending on what method you're using, then, you know. And, I do, wax is kind of more pricey, and you can't really, I couldn't find it in any of my stores, but I do live in Yuppieville, so I had to order it online, and it was like, after everything's said and done, like $20, but the container lasted me a really long time, because you don't need a lot of wax, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Ooh, suspense. Yes, we will talk about that. And I do suggest getting some tea tree oil. That would be the other thing that might be a little more, you know, expensive-ish. It's like 8 to $10 for a pretty decent bottle that'll last you like 4 months, depending on how much you use. Sometimes longer. But it's a really great antiseptic. It really is good for the scalp. It really is healthy for the scalp. And and it'll take care of anything that may be happening that shouldn't be happening on your scalp. And that just feels awesome and cool and tingly. So it's really good. I actually had some sores on my head that it was, I don't know, probably around month 2 or 3, probably 2 actually, I like 2. And I totally thought I had a ringworm on my head, and I was so freaked out. I didn't have it, thank you, woohoo, totally didn't, but I think it was just kind of the stress of the pulling on my scalp that kind of weirded it out. But tea tree, I started putting tea tree on my scalp, and it cleared it right up. Bam, it was all gone. So I really recommend tea tree oil just to kind of keep things good up there. And it's really not that expensive. You can get it at pretty much your health food stores, like, the places that have like vitamins and all your essential oils and whatnot. That kind of place. So, and there's also really cool products, like head coverings for like sleeping, I'm cheap, so I use a pillowcase generally, or a t-shirt. The pillowcase, I just stick it on my head. Well, I kind of put these in a big bun, and then I stick it in there, and then they just kind of hang loose down in the pillowcase. And because obviously my pillowcase is not as big, my head is not as big as the pillowcase, and so then I tie it with a rubber band in the front, and so they're just in there hanging out, but they're covered. Or I do a t-shirt deal where I put it over my head, and like it's just around my neck, and then I flip it back up, and it's like hanging this way, like I kind of look like a nun almost, and then I just lightly rubber band it around the back, I don't know if that makes sense. If that did make sense, ask me and I'll re-explain it. Yeah, or they have things that you can buy for it, but honestly you don't need to buy anything for it. And some people don't sleep with coverings. I really recommend it for in the beginning though, because they are so fragile, and I do it because I feel like it keeps them in check. I went a week without doing it, without sleeping on, and just let them roam free, and they really, just to kind of see what it looked like, and they really got super frizzy, and they just looked out of control, and I didn't like the way it looked for me, so, but that's totally up to you. But especially in the beginning, and especially if you're going to use wax, because you don't want wax on your face, and you don't want to like roll around in your dreads, but you also don't just want to like tie them down. You don't want to like strap them to your head, because they need to move around, and that's how they dread up and lock together, is all the movement and stuff, so it's kind of important. We're talking about money, right? Yeah. So it's up to you.